Hello and welcome to episode 11 and the penultimate episode of the 20 Years of Cthru27 podcast. A podcast that, although at times pointless, has stirred up some ace memories for you. Whether it's old bands or place names, some of the characters and venues along the way, or even just some shared memories you might have about a group of 6 friends that just wanted to hang out and play some rock shows together. It's been cool steering this ship over the last 11 episodes, and I'll be back for one final and slightly different episode in a fortnight. That's right, it's my turn. As always, I'm your host Richard Trigg, and in today's episode I'm chatting with Norwich promoter Annie Catwoman. I say promoter, but Annie's so much more than that. She and the other Wombat became part of the Cthru family, and us of theirs I hope. Annie's always been behind the band, and if you've ever seen us in Norwich, there's a 99% chance it's thanks to her. We did do a marquee show once that wasn't to do with Annie, but that ended badly, and Johnny got barred and kicked out mid-set. So, apart from that one, you've got Annie and the Wombats to thank. It was great catching up with her and sharing stories, especially about Paul and Ninja Bong Jerry, who are sadly no longer with us. And our crappy band owes so much to them. So I guess I'm kind of dedicating this one to them. Can you dedicate a podcast? Well, I am. Remember, tickets are on sale now for the comeback show in December. Don't hang about, they are going quick. Get yours now by heading to cthru27.com. So, in the words of Paul Wombat, time is never wasted when you're wasted all the time. So I'm off to get a beer. Enjoy Annie Catwoman on the 20 Years of Cthru27 podcast. Annie, it's so good to finally get you on here. Thanks so much for taking the time to hang out with me today.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Trigg. It's a real treat.
Yeah, it's good. We've just been catching up beforehand, haven't we? And
Indeed.
It's so good. Time passes, but the conversations always tend to stay the same, don't they?
Still there, still chatting about the same old things.
Exactly. Amazing.
And catching up. It's been good. It's really exciting that you're back.
I think so.
So excited.
Yeah.
Very grateful for having a sneaky preview.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
7-track EP, mini LP, whatever it's going to be called.
Yeah.
It's just sounding fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. We'll go on and talk about that, I guess, in a bit. But for our listeners that might not know who you are, for our 10 listeners that might not know who you are, give us a little bit of backstory about you, Annie, and your passion for the local scene and Wombat and all of that, and where your story started.
Well, I'll try to keep it fairly concise, but that might be a problem.
Yeah.
So, Wombat started because the Wild Club, which was every Monday night at Norwich Arts Centre from the late 80s onwards, it was like a youth club with music.
Right.
You'd go along every week, whatever the bands were. And that would be bands from away playing with local supports. And then Barry and Ollie, who were running that at the time, decided that, unfortunately Barry became ill, Ollie continued for a while, and then it stopped because Ollie was doing a degree, didn't have time to do it. So there was no independently promoted exciting upcoming music in the city. So there were all of the in-house promoters doing stuff at the Arts Centre, at the Waterfront and the UEA and whatever else was around at that time. Mainly pubs, I think, at that point, apart from those 3. So me and a group of people that always used to go to the World Club, we decided that we wanted to start something similar to that. So essentially give local acts a chance to play alongside at least one out of town band who would either be the headliner or the main support, and just try and create a bit of a music scene. And Howlback Hum started in the November, and then Wombat kicked off in the December, but we had
what year was that then?
That was 2000.
Okay.
So we started off doing gigs once a fortnight at the ferry boat.
Yeah, that's it. I remember that.
In King Street.
Yeah.
which was a pub, and it had a great back room and boathouse.
Yeah.
We used to have, there was no PA there, so Owen Turner, who is in Magoo and runs Sick Room Studios at Pentney.
Yeah.
He came and did our engineering for us, bought PA with him, and that's how we started. And it was busy once a fortnight. And then we did a showcase one evening at Norwich Arts Centre.
Yeah.
And then that was the end of 2001, and then we started doing alternate gigs, so we'd do once a month at the ferry boat, once a month at the arts centre. And there were so many exciting local bands around. When I say local, not restricting it to Norwich or Norfolk, it was sort of taking in Suffolk bands and Cambridgeshire as well, and just, you know, bringing in interesting, mainly sort of independent bands. Wouldn't necessarily be signed, but some of them would be, and it was just about creating a community, really, that people, hopefully bands that people wanted to come and see, and they'd get to see somebody else that would be maybe a bit of crossover in their music. So it wouldn't necessarily be one night of punk music, it would be one night of a punk band and a post-punk band, and then perhaps something else, like a bit of shoegaze or hip hop, rap, rock.
Well, so I was looking up on one of the first Instagram posts we did was an old gigography type thing that we found, and that had the date of our first show that we did with you, which was in 2002, March. Just looking at my dates here. 15th of March 2002. And who was that with? That was with Jet Plane Landing and Miss Black America, right?
Yep, and also a band from Derby called Terashima.
Oh, amazing.
But yeah, that was Jet Plane Landing's first Norwich gig. Miss Black America, which is fronted by Seymour Quigley, who
that's right,
runs Washing Machine. So if anybody wants a gig in the Bury St Edmunds area, talk to Seymour. He's great. So you opened that gig, and that was, I seem to remember, that was very exciting.
We were excited because I remember you'll be able to tell me in a minute about how we were on that show, but I remember we were super excited because you'd had, I think it was like the month before, you'd had like Biffy Clyro, you'd done a show with Biffy, so we were pretty pumped by the idea of, you know, doing a show for a promoter, an actual promoter, where we didn't have to, that was being promoted for one, and that we didn't have to fork out of our own pockets to go and play was kind of a big deal. And then the fact that you're kind of working, it seemed to be with sort of bands that were, you know, making waves in the industry was super exciting for a little old band from Lowestoft at the time. What was it about, because we were pretty different to the rest of the kind of your standard Wombat kind of bands. What was it about See-Through that...
Well, it was always, if I liked them, they got to play.
Right, that simple.
Wow, listen to me. But yeah, so Reese initially started off doing the band bookings, and I was doing PR. And then I took over the band bookings after 6 months. But we always had demo listening parties.
Okay.
So mainly Reese and I.
Yeah.
Sometimes Ben Wombat as well. And then the other guys were more involved in doing stuff on the night. Yeah. So I remember sitting in my front room with Reese, going through this bag of demos, and the artwork from the Cthru27 CD just jumped out at me, and I'm pretty sure it was somebody wearing it. It was a kind of maybe a bluey green background, and it had somebody that looked a little bit like a robot, but it wasn't a robot, traditional kind of robot. Somebody that was wearing some kind of breathing helmet, or it looked like some kind of diving thing.
Oh, okay. I think it was just something that maybe Adam had put together to send out. I don't think anyone... I think he used it for a gig as well, like a gig poster.
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever seen it other than on a poster, but yeah, I think he just put some CDs together with with that on it. So
right.
Good work, Ad.
So that leapt out immediately, then put the CD on, and both of us were like, oh my God, this is really good. This is exciting. This is this weird mashup that is intense, and the music's great, the lyrics are great. Got to put them on. There's no question. So it's all about Wombat Wombat was always about being passionate about the bands that you work with, and paying them as well. That was very important. And then once you've played one gig, providing everything goes well, we then work together again and we help build the momentum. So there were the other things apart from the regular gigs that we might talk about later, but outside events that we got involved with.
That's right.
So it was all about building a scene, really, or trying to help build a scene.
It was an exciting time in Norwich around then, I think. Anyhow,
it was.
Yes,
and the other thing was about not putting bands on too often. Giving them a fair crack, but nobody wants to see in my opinion, nobody wants to see a band playing the same set.
I agree.
Week after week.
Yeah, and we were conscious of doing that. I can't remember the next time we played, but I think the next time we played was the Art Centre. I'm pretty sure.
It was actually...
Go on.
I'm going to tell you the exact date now because I'm such a girly swat. It was 27th of July 2003 at Wombat Wombat's Waterloo Park Walkabout
was it?
2.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So that was in Waterloo Park in Norwich, which is a beautiful park with a bandstand surrounded by a moat. And we just wanted to take the gig out to the people. So we hired the park from the council. Got an outside PA company come in and leafleted all of the houses in the area saying this is happening, it's free entry, come along. So we gave them plenty of notice, and we always put on a variety of music, so hopefully there was something for everybody. And the idea was that they were bands that had played Wombat Wombat or were going to play Wombat Wombat to give more people a heads up about what was going on. And we had a good relationship with the local press, so we always got coverage in the going out stuff. So that was really helpful. So we'd have sort of 500 people at Waterloo Park. There was only 1 year in the 8 years we did it when there was a bit of rain.
Okay.
And then, we gave the bands food and drink, and they got a chance to play, and they were just great days out. I remember it well, actually. So you were the main support.
Oh, okay.
That day there was Stuffy and the Fuses, who was away from away. Parney, who were a local kind of high school age band. Rockastella, which featured Cherie from Violet. We
did lots of gigs with them.
Stuff with them. Click, which was a really kind of laid back old folky kind of thing. Ruby Flipper, L Sub, which is one of Shane from Halbeck Hum's band, and compared by Aisle 16, so that would have been Luke Wright, who's now a very well known performance poet, and Yanni Mack, who lives near here. So that was a lovely day out in the sun.
I seem to remember it being sunny. But you guys you always, like you said earlier, you guys always treated us really wonderfully, and for us, I think it became like the promoter standard. So like every time we did a show, it was always judged against that. So like, I mean, we've never asked for much other than a beer and a shower probably, but do you know what I mean? It became this kind of standard that all other shows would judge, and it did feel like a community and a family to be part of that kind of Wombat thing.
Excellent.
And which I guess is what you said, like you were kind of trying to create and go with, but it felt homely to come and play a Wombat show. It was familiar to go to do a Wombat show. There was going to be no surprises. I mean, it was all about creating trust between us and making the bands want to come back and play for us again. Absolutely,
and making sure they had a good time. And
do you have a favourite see-through show that we did for you that you can remember?
Well, there was that that first headline show you did at the Arts Centre.
Okay,
which was on the 2nd of July 2004.
Wow.
So again, Aisle 16 compares. There was a band called 11, which has got a guy called Phil Critton in, really very good local musician.
Right.
I'm not quite sure what he's up to now. And there was a band from Oxford called Science Never Sleeps. But it's so difficult to pick a gig. The last time you played for us was 26th of April 2013. That was only one of 3 dates, I think, wasn't it?
Yeah, we did. Yeah, we did 4 in the end.
Okay.
But there was 3 initially, but yeah, we did 4.
Yeah, and Violet Violet also on that bill doing their only reunion show.
Yeah.
And a brilliant band from London called Arrows of Love. And
yeah, they were.
really,
the chick with green hair.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That in terms, I mean, every gig I've seen you at has been really intense, and no word of a lie, I was listening to some stuff this morning through headphones.
Yeah.
At that fantastic excitement, that churning in my stomach, and that feeling of just being electrified and just into it. And it's like this whole see-through shows, this tunnel vision thing of everybody being in the moment and going for it. And it was like that in the hall at the Arts Centre.
Yeah.
It was really.
They were some good shows.
Pounding.
Them 2013 shows.
Yeah.
I think
really good.
I mean,
how did Johnny manage to wear a puffer jacket on stage?
Oh, I don't know.
No sleeves, but
yeah. Oh, I don't know. Who knows what Johnny wears? He's always been known for wearing something. Like the chap in the last episode with Darren. Darren was saying that one of the weirdest things was when he heard rapping. He thought, this is very weird in a rock venue. He went through and there's a guy wearing a blazer. So Johnny's thing, I guess, like puffer body warmer, whatever. But those 2013 shows, they always come up in all of the podcasts. Really, it's probably our favourite shows to date, and I think we were surprised by not only the reaction but the turnout. Like we didn't particularly try. Well, no, we weren't particularly worried about what the turnout was going to be for once. And the turnout, all of the shows, was probably our best turnouts we've ever done. And hopefully the show in December will be the same. But what is it about the band you think that stood that test of time? Why do people still care?
Well, I still care because it's still exciting. It's great. It is a bunch of mates on stage playing their instruments properly. It should be after all this time.
Yeah, it should be. Yeah.
And Johnny just there.
Yeah.
No, I'm not going to say exposing himself because that's not right. But you know what I mean.
Yeah.
He's got his heart in his sleeve and
slightly vulnerable sometimes.
Yeah, but it's all genuine.
Yeah.
And this is it. It's the whole thing. It's an event in itself, a see-through show, wherever you are on the bill.
Yeah.
It's just this juggernaut of everybody being passionate about what they're doing and doing their damnedest to just make everybody enjoy it and having the time of your lives.
Yeah, that's important, I think, isn't it? Definitely.
And every time I've seen you, it's been like that. It's just been one kind of coercive, don't mean that at all. It's been coherent.
Yeah.
One, it's just it's a brand.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's everything you want from a live show. It's exciting. It's intense. It's life affirming.
Swoosh time, podcast time, see-through style.
Some of the new stuff that I've listened to, I'm thinking, that must be about this. I don't know.
No, exactly.
But it could be, and I do know a bit about Johnny's background.
Yeah.
And I know that he writes the lyrics.
Yeah.
So I can see how something might refer to a particular time in his life, but I don't know whether it does or not.
Yeah.
But it's really interesting because this is it. These are lyrics that are about serious things.
Yeah.
And it's great that somebody's going out there and delivering it in such a way that, you know, you can interpret it in a way you like, but it is so much better than some namby-pamby I love you baby kind of
wet,
nasty singer-songwriter type thing.
Yeah.
Although there's a place for that, of course.
Absolutely,
but, you know, I'd rather have music and lyrics, because I'm into both. I'm into music and lyrics, and I always want the whole package to speak to me. I like light and shade in music and lyrics, and that's why I think I like so many of the bands that I do. These are people that have different things happening, but it just works together.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's great. Personal stories are good.
Yeah, I think you can put some conviction behind him, can't you, as well?
Definitely.
And I think he's done that, and we did work really hard on those lyrics and on the demos, and then in the studio, about getting that across in the right way. And there's one track on the new record called "Put It There," which is probably the most quintessential. I use that word way too much. See-through song on the record. Like, if you, people I've played it to go, oh, there it is. There's the see-through. But Johnny actually, a lot of it's about his nephew. I mean, it's quite obvious what it's about, but we did it all and it was tracked and it was great. And then Johnny came away and said, I just don't deliver that first line in the. So we had to go back to the studio to re-record the first part of the song, and any normal person, probably even me included, was just like, mate, it's just fine, you know. He was adamant that he had to go and redo this. I don't even know what it was. It was a tone thing, so subtle. He was adamant it had to be done to give the correct meaning to what he was saying. So back we went and did it, but and I think, you know, them small subtle nuances that you put in for him to make sure that it's expressed in the right way, if people like yourself get that and feel and hear that, then they're worth doing. And, you know, nowadays in a world where everything's recorded in a box, you know, and people are just, any band can just kind of go and do something and it sounds amazing pretty quickly because you can use easy drum roll, whatever it might be, which all have their place and all great, but like, you kind of do, and everything's to click and everything's quantized, and you kind of do lose some of those moments sometimes, I think, just how a word is expressed or delivered. And we've all, and I guess because of our age and just when we started making music in the 90s, we're kind of conscious of that a little bit more, maybe. I don't know, but I think it comes across in the in his delivery and getting them the vulnerability where it needs to be and the positivity where it needs to be. And yeah, hopefully people will be able to hear it. I'm
sure. Yes, I'm very excited for the release.
Yeah, me too.
Podcasting C through 27, a little bit like casting when you're birding, but with less bacon and less fish hooks.
One of the questions that I ask people on this is their funniest see-through story. But when I started prepping these notes for our chat, I started thinking about my funniest anecdotes. Well, I quickly realised that they all involve one of the Wombat Collective at some point. So rather than ask you that, I was just going to mention it because I remember one time we went over to Paul's and he was like, we've got to have a chat about this show. We went over there and there was clipboards. There definitely was clipboards for at least a minute. And then within half an hour, we were drunk, driving a JCB, taking it in turns to dig up his garden. And then it was just like, why are we even here? Like, forget the music, you know. And it's a great story. And it goes a lot further than that. But it was generally digging up stuff, taking in turns to dig stuff up with JCB. The clipboards had gone. And I don't know what show it was about. It was gone. And then
I wonder if it's about the exit.
No, I thought about that, but I don't think it was about that. Because I remember it was a different, because I've got another story about that where, you know, but we can't talk about that because Adam had a funny turn and So that was the exit thing. So I'm not sure what this was about, but I remember there was clipboards and we all went over there, and then Paul was like, I've brought a digger in his way. A digger? Let's have a go on the digger.
Absolutely.
And then he was like, I'll get some beers and then we'll have a go on the digger.
Yeah, beers first, then the digger.
Then the digger, yeah. And then, so that was a good one. But my favourite Wombat Collective story was in Serbia. And it was one morning, I'd got up late and I was like, go and find some people in the hotel. So we're in Novi Sad, and I'm walking about this hotel, and there was no one in the entire hotel. This is a bit weird. Went and knocked on people's rooms. No one. It was everyone gone, and it was there's no way you'd be mobile phoning people. And I was walking about, and it was really odd. And I'll never forget it. It was ghostly, and it was off this weird kind of hotel from hundreds of years ago. And I went on one of the floors and I could smell pot. So I was sniffing around. I was like, this is weird. So I'm sniffing around, and I got to this door, and I was like, it's coming from this door. And I tried to listen, and I couldn't hear anything. And I was like, just man up, Trigg, just man up. So I manned up, knocked on the door, no answer. Knocked on the door again. The door opened a tiny bit, and it was Big Steve. Grabbed me, pulled me into this smoke-filled room, shut the door. Then put all this padding back up the door, and every single person was in there. Everyone from the touring party was in there. Everyone was dribbling, and they were all talking about Elton John.
Oh my God!
True story. Jerry was there saying something about Elton John in the 70s, and it was just full of smoke, and that's where everyone was. And the story then came out. Apparently, they started off. There was two of them to start off with, and then one of Cthru had gone out and smelt the pot and knocked on the door, and then gone in, and then there's more smoke, and then another person of Cthru had gone out finding people, and then found this room and knocked on the door, and it's oh God, this is getting ridiculous now. And I was the last one to go around, and inadvertently it was knocked on this door, and then everyone was then in this room.
I can imagine.
Yeah.
I mean, didn't go to any of the exit festivals where Wombat was lucky enough to give some bands a chance to play. But yeah.
I mean, they were
that's
great
just
memories.
mad. I can totally I can see it now. I can see all of the guys just enjoying themselves.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
And I also remember the tale of the bus journey from Norwich to pick you up and then then the drive to Serbia, which Paul and his brother Pete I think it was, and the door kept, the big side door kept open, didn't it?
Would, yeah.
I'm so glad I didn't go on that trip.
We thought it was a joke. We thought
terrifying.
there's after hanging out with Paul, that we were like, there's no way this cracker is coming to pick us up in a minibus. And it was at 10 at night, and we were all bundled around mine in Lowestoft, and we'd all been to this pub which was on the corner called the Blues, and it was 99p a pint, so we were all tanked. And we were like, there's no way this is happening. And then he turned up, and we were like, okay, it is happening. We got in this thing, and off we went. And then the rest is history. But that door, he hit 60, 70, that door would come open like a wing, and the whole thing would swerve. And you just have his voice, just shouting, and just us just drunk going, is this real? Is this happening? But there were some incredible moments with those guys on that trip.
How many days did it take to get to Novi Sad?
Oh, I don't know, but we were gone for 11.
Right.
Yeah. So
the festival was about 3 days, wasn't it? God,
so
what an absolute treat.
Yeah, I mean, they didn't stop on the way there. They were like, took it in turns driving, and we just drank until we couldn't drink, and it was so hot, and no one could sleep, and then we didn't know where we were. We didn't know what country we were in, but felt that we were in safe hands. Somewhat.
Fantastic.
But then we got there, and then obviously all these things happened, and I remember one of the funny moments was when we first got in the hotel room, my now wife Gemma, who was there, she had some hair straighteners or hair dryer, I can't remember what it was, but she plugged them in, the fuse blew, and I said, don't worry, I've got my work box, I'll fix it. But I didn't have the right fuse. I was like, it'll be alright, it's probably just a fuse, I'll put a screw in it, just bridge the gap. She turned it on, bang, all the lights in the hotel went out, everything just went gung 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 gung. I panicked. I was like, oh my God, because we'd only just been there maybe an hour. I proper panicked. I was like, oh, what am I going to do? I'm going to have to go down. And at that point, there was a knock on the door. And our door, I was like, oh God, what's happened? I opened the door and it was Jerry. And he goes, I think I've blown the electrics. I was buggering around with the aerial on the telly.
Yes.
And I never told him. I was like, oh, Jerry, you better go down and... Yeah.
Oh, brilliant.
So he went down and said, I think I've broken the electrics. I never told him, bless him. So yeah, that's a true story. And on the way there, I'm pretty sure that they went out, because they went like they flew and then went on a train. I'm pretty sure they told Jerry you had to have a special pass, and they'd all made fake passes. And then he saw that and then hid for most. I think it was like an 8-hour train ride, and he hid for most of it, believing that. Incredible.
That sounds spot on, exactly how it would have been.
Exactly, but it just goes to show like how integral to the story and our memories all you guys are and were, and you know how and you could, if you put all of us in the room, we'd all remember them moments. I mean, there was more, but
yes.
But yeah, it just shows that how important, you know, them people and all of you were to us in that story of our band, our little shitty band from Lowestoft. It's really important. So.
Hardly.
Throw down your RV, get yourself comfy, and listen to a little bit of See-Through on podcast. Oh yeah.
So as we said, like the new See-Through record is finished, and it's the first in 16 years.
Wow.
And yes, it's a long time, isn't it, really? I mean, we've done them 1 or 2 tracks we've put out in that kind of time, but as a record, as a collection of songs, it's 16 years. And I think we can announce, I don't know when this will come out, but it is called Gaslighter, and it's going to be out in October. And like you said, we sent you a link so you could have a listen to it. What did you think of it?
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Yep, I know it's easy for me to say that because we're sitting opposite each other and the door is closed. But no, it's brilliant. It's just how it should be. I hadn't really realised this until I listened back to the previous podcast with Johnny and Liam talking about the new record. And there is more space in it.
Yeah.
And that works really well.
Yeah.
But it's just a progression of what it was before, because you've still got all of the fantastic straight in your face music and the fills. And I'm sorry, I'm talking, I don't play any instruments. I just know what I like. And it just works perfectly. And as I mentioned before, there's all of the lyrical stuff, which just drags you in, and the whole thing works together. And it's great. I love it.
Still sounds like a See-Through record, right?
Definitely sounds like See-Through.
Because that was important. I think.
Yeah, you need to.
A lot of bands could, you know, after 16 years, try and be current, and we haven't not tried to be current. Like we haven't made a conscious play to try and do something. We just tried to do what fitted the songs, and we've got more influences now because 16 years in between it. So there's one song called Stargazing, which has kind of got like a grimy, trappy feel. And actually, that song was that part of the song came from Adam. Adam actually wrote the guitar riff, and
it's a great riff. It
is great, isn't it? And he did this kind of like hi-hat thing, and the song evolved quite a lot, but we kept the guitar part the same, and this kind of hi-hat bit, which kind of gives it a modern edge. But it wasn't ever like a conscious thing that we were going to do. We just wanted to just make a See-Through record. So in order to do that, I have to write some riffs, and Johnny has to spit on it, and then Flatty does his bits, and then obviously Liam then gets proper stuck in. And there's push and pull, I think, which makes a See-Through record. So especially when we got to mixing Gaslighter, you've got Johnny always likes vocals really high, like it is in hip hop, really high vocals, whereas I like big guitars and pull the vocals down so they sit like a rock song. And Paul likes a load of 80s drums, so he likes his drums to sound a certain way. But that push and pull that we all give kind of ends up you kind of it's obviously a compromise at some point, but I was quite proud that it did end up sounding like a See-Through record.
Definitely. I don't think you should see it as a compromise. It's clearly identifiable as See-Through, and the old stuff sits very well next to the new stuff.
Yeah.
And I think to a certain extent it is timeless.
Okay.
Because there are so many elements going through it.
Yeah.
It's not boring.
Yeah.
It's on its toes the whole time, and it's just this great big amalgamous thing that works so well. When I go to gigs, I know it's going to be a good one when I get that feeling in the stomach just before the band comes on.
Oh, great. Yeah.
And, that was what I got listening to some of the songs
that's wicked.
earlier. So, yes, keep at it, but don't leave it so long next time.
Yeah.
Please.
We won't. We have started the next one, like I said.
Excellent. So that's good to hear.
I'll show you a snippet of it after this.
Yeah.
What See-Through song do you think you have the strongest emotional connection to? And that can include anything from the new record.
When I could still make compilation CDs.
Yeah.
I've got a CD player in the car. I've got a couple of See-Through tracks on there, on a couple of my different compilations.
Yeah.
One of the tracks I have on one of my compilation CDs is How Many You Kiss.
Yeah.
And as a girl, I do feel a bit bad about singing along to Who's That Girl?
Yeah. It is very of a time.
It is of its time, but it's it's just a kind of, it's an anthem, isn't it?
I get that. And
I know that wasn't really the message behind it. That isn't saying.
No, it's not.
Dissing. It's not dissing women.
Absolutely
at all.
not. No.
So in that way, that's okay. But yeah.
A lot of people have said in the band. A lot of people have said lyrical force.
Yes.
I'm not sure why, but I mean they all say
the guitar that starts it off.
Yeah. So it's kind of like, and that's kind of one of the first See-Through songs. But a lot of people have said that.
Yep.
If someone asked you what C327 sound like, how would you define or describe us?
Hip hop, rap, rock.
Okay, that was easy.
or rock hop.
Rock hop. Yeah.
But hip hop, rap, rock was the first way that I described it.
Okay.
I remember that because it's, for me, that's what it was.
Yeah. At the moment, I think one of the ones that bounces about is rap and roll.
Oh yes, that's another good descriptor. Definitely.
Yeah. What do you think the future can hold for the band now in 2021?
I'd like to say whatever you want it to hold. There's no reason why you shouldn't carry on making music. She says rather selfishly. Because yes, I want to see more of you, and I think because it is well, in my opinion, what you're doing is more or less timeless. All right, you're getting a bit older.
Yeah.
But you've just written and recorded a whole new 7-track EP. There's another one coming.
Yeah.
Go with the momentum. As long as you're enjoying it, do it.
Yeah.
I think there will be people that will want to come out and see you that were following you from the beginning.
I hope
and
so.
there'll be new audiences.
Yeah, I hope so.
Just because there's such a rich mixture of stuff going on.
Yeah.
Providing you can get the message out to the right people.
That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, when we did the 2013 shows, we did the first show, which we didn't expect the turnout that we got, which was amazing. And then once we had that in the bag, we were like, okay, we've got this now. And then we did the Wombat show, which was great. It felt easy. It felt natural, felt good. We did that show, and then we did a Lowestoft sort of festival type thing, which is my favourite ever show. And then we did the last show we got asked to do the VW White Noise off the back of those shows. So that's why there ended up being 4.
You played VW White Noise as part of the Wombat.
We did. That's right. Yeah.
August 2005.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because we did all the other shows like this film. We did it, film based, the only show that stood out because we didn't have a backdrop and we didn't have the film thing going on, and obviously we're out of town somewhat. And we loaded the cases and everything onto stage in this tent, and we were coming off the buzz of all them other shows and confident and playing well, and there was no one in the tent. So we hadn't started playing, but as we were like, oh, what are we going to do? Because at that point, that's a long time since we'd done a tent which was completely empty, which is fine and normal and part of being in a band, but kind of weren't expecting it. So we get on stage and we started playing, doing our thing, did our thing like it was full, and I think we opened with Radio N. By the end of Radio N, the tent was full.
Yeah, great song. Meant to mention that. And
at the end of the show, ended up being an amazing show. And I think it was Liam who said it in his podcast that the difference was it was like a pressure show. It was like it was a show where there wasn't like any novelty factor that we're an old band getting back together. There wasn't a new record. There wasn't anyone there who knew our songs. We're singing songs about George Bush and Iraq War or whatever it might have been, and we were really conscious of that. And afterwards people are like, oh, how do we find out about your band? How do we buy your CD? The answer was obviously you can't and you won't now. But that kind of adrenaline type based show rather than a novelty show was really important at the time, because we all came away going, that was good actually. That kind of, we won them over. Yes. We didn't have to do that at the other shows because people were there and knew us. I think we're looking forward to, as a band, getting this first show out of the way, which we're really looking forward to, but that kind of novelty based show, we'll maybe do another cool show in Norwich or something. I think that's the plan, but kind of looking forward to getting that all out of the way, getting stuck in on a new record, and then getting that kind of nervousness about almost feeling like a new band again, not relying on the previous, and actually pushing as a new band in, like I said, like in a landscape of 2021, 2022, which is very different to when it was even 8 years ago, 2013. Yes. But those new challenges, I think, as a band, we can embrace. I think we look forward to embracing that, however that may be. Just hope that there's some bands around to do it with.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I mean, one thing that's come up in the podcast multiple times is the demise of the local music scene, the vanishing venues, and what appears to be a lack of original bands, certainly compared to the golden era, 20 years ago. But it'd be interesting to hear your take on that. Is it just something, we're out of touch with, or is there something else afoot? Are kids doing something else now, or are there bands and original music going on that we just don't know about?
Well, probably, but I mean, the past 18 months, of course, has just mucked everything up. Yeah. But until I was unfortunately made redundant from Norwich Arts Centre, as a result of COVID, I was involved in running its young people's music development programme, which is called Sonic Youths. So it's for 14 to 19 year olds making original music of any genre.
Yeah, that's so nice.
And it was great. I mean, I did have to open my ears a bit to some genres of music that I wouldn't normally listen to, but the amount of amazing young people that are coming through, and there have been some really great bands as well as solo artists, all kinds of genres coming through. And Norwich is lucky enough to have Access Creative College doing music as well as loads of other stuff. There's City College Norwich, which runs a music programme. There's no music at the UEA anymore, and in terms of they don't run music courses, but they have a music society, and there are a lot of people at UEA that are involved in making music. So there is a rich vein of stuff, and it's just about being able to tap into it, I think. And there are some good independent promoters that were doing stuff before COVID.
That's good to
in
hear.
Norwich, using different size venues.
Yeah.
And hopefully that will continue now everything's opening up. But yes, I mean, we have lost some venues, and I've never been a massive fan of pub venues.
No.
But I used to love going to the Swan in Ipswich.
Okay.
That was great. Not that I went there that often, but that was a good pub venue.
Yeah.
And the Portland Arms at Cambridge.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Get in touch with them.
Yeah.
Get in touch with Simon from Green Mind.
Okay. Yeah.
But yes, I'm hoping that, you know, things will get back to what it was before.
Yeah.
Surely that's going to be a thing.
It's got to, hasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
There has to be a resurgence of live original music.
Exactly.
On a massive scale. That's got to be the knock-on effect of all this.
Exactly.
I'm hoping.
Yes.
I mean, round here in Lowestoft, it is all pub venues now. So it's cover bands, which is fine, and that's a thing. But it's a guarantee they know what they're getting. And even when we did the 2013 shows, we went and pitched a show to do the First Lady of the Lake show, and the landlady there, who was great, but she said, well, you'll have to come down on a jam night on a Tuesday. And we're like, that's not going to be happening.
Jam night.
It's not going to be happening. We just want a Saturday night. And they're like, yeah, but we talked around. Well, Paul talked around in the end.
I can imagine. Yes.
You don't argue with Paul. He'll literally, he can sell whatever. For us and anyone who knows you, I think they'd say that you're kind of synonymous with the Norwich DIY music scene. But what still drives you? Where does that passion still come from for it?
Just because I like new music.
Yeah.
I want to hear new stuff that excites me, that I can relate to, that makes me feel alive.
Yeah.
I don't want to be sitting there listening to some stuff from the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s. Yeah, I do sometimes.
Yeah.
But it's about sort of continuous development and sharing the journey and seeing bands develop. And it's with One Back it was always great to give a band their first Norwich gig or whatever, and then hopefully help build them up. And that's really what I think it still is about. And I am desperate to get back to independent promoting.
Yeah.
And I want to do it at the right point. Not quite sure when that's going to be. Yeah. But it's just this hunger for new sound and something that's exciting and a bit different.
Yeah. That's great to hear.
Bring it on.
Yeah. Amazing. Give us a shout.
Will do.
Was there ever a Wombat show that never was? An amazing band, something that fell through or it should have happened but never happened?
Yeah. Well, there were several.
Oh, go on then.
Well, when I first discovered Yeahs,
okay,
they were, and then they came over to the UK. I think it was their first UK tour, and their agent was somebody that I'd been dealing with for other stuff.
Yeah.
And I said, would they like to come play Norwich Arts Centre? No. But of course, because they'd had all their flights booked and everything,
right,
and Norwich wasn't on that first UK tour.
Yeah, on the agenda.
Agenda, thank you, that's the word. Because of where we are.
Yeah.
And no, but it's never been, is it? Norwich is always like third tour for national bands, really. So that didn't happen. I had the Organ penciled in. They were a band from America. Check them out. Really, well, there were obviously other things that I would have liked to have put on, like War Paint. But that didn't happen. The Art Centre tried to get them as well, and that didn't happen. who I would really like to put on now, among some of my old favourites, Blood Red Shoes, The Joy Formidable.
They went on to some great things, didn't they?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
They still are.
Yeah. Amazing.
They'll be back soon, which is good. I really love Dilly Dally from Canada, and I've seen them 3 times. 3 times they've come over to the UK.
Yeah.
If you don't know them, Trigg, check them out. You might like them.
Dilly Dally.
Dilly Dally.
Okay.
Yes.
Definitely will.
Yeah. But yeah, and there's lots of bands at the moment that I've got a list. I've made a list of targets for when I get back. But it's how long can I wait? Because obviously I'm going to want to put them on first in Norwich.
Yeah.
Am I going to be able to do that? I don't know. So I've got as much hard work to do as you have.
Yeah.
Getting out there and re-establishing myself.
Yeah. I'm glad you're doing that though.
Well, this is the plan.
Lots of people will be glad you're doing that.
Well, I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it all shakes down. There's a bit more shaking down to do first, I think.
Yeah.
But I do miss it. I really miss working with the young people that are coming through.
Yeah, I bet.
Because there was a time, kind of, sort of just before we started Wombat, so sort of late 90s, when it seemed like the whole local scene had gone really quiet and there was nothing really very exciting happening. And I don't know why it suddenly burst into life again. Right. But it did, and at the moment it seems to be good in terms of, excluding the last 18 months. It's that thing again, there are lots of people making music and there are people that are in multiple bands. Yeah. Which is always a bit weird. How do you decide which one to go with? Yeah. I don't know. But there are good people out there making good music, so that's good to hear. That's great. Yeah.
Well, that's a positive note to end on, I think, Annie.
Absolutely.
It's been it's great chatting to you, and
always. Thank you, Trigg.
We'll see you at the show, right?
Hell yeah.
Yeah, ace. And hopefully some kind of Norwich show next year, right?
Fingers crossed.
Ace.
Yep. Good luck with it all. Looking forward to hearing it actually on a, being able to hear it.
Yeah.
And seeing it.
Yeah, it's going to be good.
See you there.
Thanks, Annie.
Cheers.
We're out.